Okay. I'd like to welcome everybody to the City of Forest Park Planning Commission meeting tonight. We're going to start by opening our work session, and the way the format will read tonight, we'll go ahead and read what's on the agenda, and then Mr. Anderson will talk about what's on the agenda, and at that point in time, I will go down the list of Forest Park commissioners and ask if anybody has any comments. After all the commissioners have made their comments in the work session, then we'll allow any of the participants in the item that's on the agenda tonight to speak, and after which we'll allow the commissioners to go ahead and ask questions again. And then the same format will go for the actual Planning Commission meeting that will proceed directly after the work session meeting. So with that, I'll start out with FPD 20-006, special exception 11130 Hamilton Avenue, rainstorm car wash. Mr. Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As you all know, the Planning Commission reviewed this application last week on July 14th at the regular meeting, and postponed the item to tonight in order to allow the applicant to work on the architectural features of the car wash building. What we had as part of the application was what's known, I think, as a prototype building, rather plain, especially when compared to the existing location for rainstorm car wash in Westchester. Pleased to say that I feel like the applicants have really delivered here and provided us with an architectural rendering of a building that really looks good. And the features of the building that the features of this rendering in this version of the building have in common with the Westchester location include the base course of cultured stone, the brick pillars, the enhanced entranceway, and the multi-light door on the front of the drive-through part of the building. So I would like to recommend that to the Planning Commission. I think with this revision and a couple of the conditions that are in the suggested motion, I think this is ready to go for approval. It is an approval for both the development plan and a special exception. So there'd be two motions on this. One other thing that I added to my staff report from last time, because there was some fair amount of discussion about the traffic flow outside of the site. I took an aerial photo. I put the approximate locations of the entrance driveway and exit driveway, and then sketched out the directions of traffic in the vicinity. And so starting from the left, you have Hamilton Avenue with 3 southbound lanes, one of which is an exclusive turn lane, and then 3 northbound lanes, one of which is an exclusive right turn lane. And those are your ways to get in from Hamilton. Exiting, or you can, once somebody enters from that direction, they would turn left into the car wash property. If coming from Waycross, you would be coming most likely through the shopping center and then making a left and then a right into the entrance. And if you're exiting, that exit, I have only going one way back towards that same crossing of traffic although it is possible that somebody could go behind the shopping center. It's not probably very likely. It's about as long a route as it would be to go in front of the shopping center. And there are dumpsters and things like that back there that just don't make it a very inviting path for traffic. So I would say that most, if not all, traffic would come out that exit and then either go towards Waycross, towards Ollie's, or towards Hamilton. So hopefully that illustrates a little better what we discussed last week. And with that, I conclude my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Anderson. Dr. Bunton, any comments, questions?
No comments or questions.
Thank you. Mr. Smith?
No comment.
Mayor Johnson?
No comments.
Mr. Brown?
No comment.
Mr. Bradley?
No comment.
Okay.
I'm here.
Oh, okay. Dr. Anaforo, I didn't know you were there. I'm sorry.
I'm here. No comments, no questions. Good evening.
Good evening. The only comment that I have is I know in the motion it's gonna, Chris sent out a revision for the motion and on item number 1 on the development plan. Since we only got that one elevation, I just had a question about making sure that the other elevations match what this elevation is. So I had that question, and something that we should probably put in the motion at part of number 1 about the other elevations will be similar to this elevation that's been submitted. The other question I had was on the split face block. I can't tell on this elevation, is that still split face block, or is that like a cement board, like a lap siding or something? So that was the questions that I had. And Mr. Anderson, did you have any answers to those, or should we ask Mr. Painter?
Yeah, I think if Mr. Painter could talk about that, it'd probably be a more efficient.
Sure. Yeah, the siding, it's sided. So you've got the culture stone on the bottom, you've got the brick pilasters with the stone caps, and that's a gray vinyl siding in between the bricks, the brick columns.
That's gray vinyl on here.
Yes.
Okay, because I think on the plans that were submitted last time, it was a cement board on the siding.
Well, we had CMU top to bottom.
Well, on our plans that we had the last time last week had the cement board on the sidings.
Okay, that's not what I understand from the owner that they're proposing. They're proposing a vinyl siding.
Okay. Mr. Justice, are you speaking to this at all, or?
Yes, that's fine. I'm part of the development team. I'll be glad to answer any questions you have.
Okay, so that siding is going to be vinyl on the property. Last week it was split face block, and on the plan it had like a cement board siding, and now it's vinyl siding.
When you put the cultured stone wainscoting on the bottom, you now have multiple layers of different items attached to the concrete block building. So we chose, for color purposes, to present vinyl siding, which we thought, given the color of our logo is changing to this black and white and maize color. So we wanted to kind of tie that in and so we used a gray siding in terms of maintaining its color and its appearance over a long period of time. the vinyl siding we find works the best. The new sidings are guaranteed for like 20 years, not to fade. So whereas if you had block there, you all know, you've seen, help me out here, Mr. Painter, the seepage from the mortar that runs down, lime coming out of the mortar of the stones. This is and as you can imagine, we clean our tunnels with power washers. We can clean the vinyl with power washers once a week if we choose. We have that kind of equipment. So in terms of maintenance and continuity of appearance, we thought the vinyl would work best.
Okay. Mr. Anderson, do you have any other comments?
No, I mean, I think appearance-wise, it still works. Just from my looking at the picture, I had assumed that the CMU was continuing from the prototype building and didn't recognize that as vinyl, but I see what Mr. Justice is talking about.
Do you have any problem with the vinyl?
It's not the only element of the exterior, so I think it's certainly in terms of its look, it's broken up enough by the pillars. No, I do think it's a little bit unusual to see on a commercial building. Seeing a lot more on residential, but aside from that, with a 20-year lifespan, I don't really have an objection to that.
Okay, do any of the other commissioners have any questions or comments?
Nope.
Oh, not here.
Okay, we're going to move on to the next item is FPD 20-005, the development plan for 11130 Hamilton Avenue rainstorm car wash, and I would assume that's for the special exception.
Yeah.
Are there any questions? We'll go out on anybody on this. We'll start with Dr. Bunton. Any questions or comments?
No questions or comments.
Okay. Mr. Smith?
No questions.
Mayor Johnson?
No questions.
Mr. Brown?
No questions.
Dr. Anaforo?
No questions.
Mr. Bradley?
None whatsoever. No questions.
Okay. Hearing none, is there any comments from Mr. Painter or Mr. Justice?
None by
No.
me.
Nope, I'm available for questions if there are any.
Okay, no questions. I'm going to close the work session and open the Planning Commission meeting and call it to order at 7:15 p.m. Connie, would you please call the roll?
Dr. Anaforo,
Here.
Mr. Bradley,
Here.
Mr. Johnson,
Here.
Mr. Smith,
Here.
Dr. Bunton,
Here.
Mr. Brown,
Here.
Mr. Aronson.
Here. Okay, we're all here this week. That's great. Now the minutes, has everybody read the minutes, and are there any additions or changes to the minutes? Hearing none, we'll accept the minutes as written. Thank you very much. We'll go down commissioners' reports. Dr. Bunton, do you have a report?
No reports.
Mr. Smith?
No report.
Mayor Johnson?
No report.
Mr. Brown?
No reports.
Dr. Anaforo?
No reports.
Mr. Bradley?
No report.
I have no report. Okay, we'll move to the director's report. Anything to report, Mr. Anderson?
No, Mr. Chair, thank you.
Okay, Moving to communications from the public. If addressing the commission, please wait for the chair to recognize you, state your name and address, and please limit comments to 5 minutes. This meeting will be recorded for ease of transcription and will be broadcast by Waycross Community Media. Is there anybody in the public that would like to speak? Okay, hearing none, we're going to move on to new business. Number 1, FPD 20-006, special exception 11130, Hamilton Avenue, rainstorm car wash.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Mayor Johnson.
I would move to approve special exception FPD 20-006 to allow car wash at 11130 Hamilton Avenue in the planned business district according to the approved development plan of FPD 20-005.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and second. Mr. Anderson, does that have to be the first or the second motion? Or does it matter?
It only matters for the 30 seconds between the motions.
Okay, well, we won't worry about that. I don't want you to have a technicality on us here. Okay, so it's been moved and second for the special exception. Are there any discussion? Hearing none, Connie, would you call the roll, please?
Dr. Anaforo,
Yes.
Mr. Bradley,
Yes.
Mr. Johnson,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Dr. Bunton,
Yes.
Mr. Brown,
Yes.
Mr. Aronson.
Yes. Okay, moving on to item number 2, FPD 20-005 development plan at 11130 Hamilton Avenue, rainstorm car wash.
Mr. Chair, you had an addition to number 1. Would you state those additions again to the condition, the first condition?
Yes, I would just like us to include in there that the elevations not seen on the drawing will be similar to this elevation submitted.
Okay. Okay, in that case, I would like to make a motion to approve development plan FPD 20-005 with the following conditions. The building elevation sheet dated March 28, 2019, with the addition of that the elevation not seen on the drawing would be similar to the elevations on the that was presented. Number 2, the ground sign will require a master sign plan to be approved by the Planning Commission. Number 3, the dumpster area must be enclosed on 3 sides with a solid wall or split face, CMU, masonry, or similar material. Number 4, the planting strip along Hamilton Avenue is permitted at less than 35 feet where shown on the landscape plan. And number 5, approval of the development plan, which we just did, is contingent upon the special exception. That would be my motion.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
I'll
Second.
Mr. Bradley, second. Okay, is there any discussion on that? Is Chris, that's the revised wording you wanted to use on number 1, except for what we added? Because I didn't hear real well. I couldn't tell if we referenced the elevation sheet dated March 28th.
I wanted that removed from the motion. And it was.
Oh, okay, good. That's what I thought. I just couldn't hear that first part of that. My hearing's getting worse, Mayor Johnson.
Me too.
So it's been moved and second. Is there any discussion? Okay, hearing none. Ms. Westendorf, would you please call the roll?
Dr. Anaforo,
Yes.
Mr. Bradley,
Yes.
Mr. Johnson,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Dr. Bunton,
Yes.
Mr. Brown,
Yes.
Mr. Aronson.
Yes. Okay, both motions tonight have been passed unanimously, and that welcome Rainstorm Car Wash to the community. We look forward to them coming in and anything we can do to help you, and look forward to seeing you back before the Planning Commission for your signs, which shouldn't be a problem. I mean, Mr. Anderson knows everything we can do on them, so he'll be a great guide for you. With that, is there any other new business to be discussed?
I have a question, Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Anderson, of the at the last meeting, other items were on there and that we would have dealt with tonight. Could you just not, you don't need to go through them individually, but were they all either withdrawn or postponed to later dates or what?
This one was the item that really, where the applicants indicated the time was of the essence. And so we scheduled the special meeting largely for this applicant. I expect that the other two will be back in August, but in particular for the Dollar General store, we are not close to having a building that we can recommend.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Okay, anybody else have any new business? With that, it was a pleasure.
I don't have any new business, but talking about hearing, I want to make sure, was it Dr. Bunton or Mr. Brown that seconded the motion? I think it's Dr. Bunton.
I think it was Mr. Bradley the second motion, and the first motion was Mr. Brown, I believe.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay. Any other comments or any other new business? Hearing none, I'd just like to say I'm happy that we got to see everybody for 2 weeks in a row. And everybody keep safe and wear masks. And I look forward to seeing everybody in about 3 weeks. So
thank you.
Thank you very much. And we'll
Thank you, Commissioners.
Planning Commission's over.
All right. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you,
Good night.
Commissioners. Good night.
Good
Good night,
night.
everybody.